Alrighty, welcome back to week 8 of the devlog. We are here, we're talking about world building today. Very fun topic. We love world building. We love setting up the world. We love coming up with a story that no one will ever know because it's so unimportant to a competitive game.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it's there
that's true.
nonetheless.
Yep, yep,
It's
yep.
important for us as developers to have so we know a direction for mainly maps. That's kind of where this whole thing started, was that it was a
Maps,
direction
art
for maps.
style,
Uh-huh.
naming schemes, kind of
Yeah.
theming
It
and all that
helps.
stuff.
Yeah, it helps with all the stuff that you wouldn't really think about that's just kind of there and it goes, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah,
Like, Apex
it
has
helps
world
us
building. You don't
bring
pay attention to
everything
it, but it's
together.
there. Yeah.
So,
Helps you connect characters, helps connect with characters, I guess.
woo, devlog, haha. We are both like what, story writer hobbyists, I would say. You more than me.
Oh, I like story. I like writing stuff.
Yeah.
Have a whole
In no
clothing
way, in
brand
no way
idea centered
professionals,
around it.
but we like the
Not
idea.
at all. Yeah, I don't know where you want to start this from.
Okay, I remember
There's
what it is. I remember what it
so
is. There's so much.
I know
Okay.
what it is. Tell me, what are we doing? What inspired us to make the story that we're kind of going with
Well,
for the world
we can't
tag?
just say that. Okay, so I guess so.
We can.
Basically, for
We
the
can tell
story,
something inspiring us.
originally the plan, and
Uh-huh.
this isn't anymore, but originally the plan was to
Mhm.
do kind of like a kids old-fashioned game of tag slash
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
futuristic world
It
now,
was
like
it was
VR
nostalgia.
gaming space. Yeah, nostalgia, I
Childhood like
guess.
nostalgia thing.
Then that
Right.
idea kind of turned into more like, okay, what if it's like a futuristic, like post-apocalyptic, virtual game of tag, right? Where players like compete like for tag for like their life, I believe, right? Is that
Something like
kind of
that.
something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're taking inspiration from kind of like an alternate New York, or like a gothic, like kind of noir, like kind of style for our main city. All this technology that, they're using to run at 500 miles an hour,
Yeah.
flying
There used
through
to be a reason
neighborhoods,
for those.
running
Yeah.
on walls, like uh, how are they doing that? It's not magic. It's gonna be
It's
like
technology.
future technology, and like as much of like a bad game Cyberpunk is, like the style is so sick,
Style is
right?
cool.
And so it's just like it kind of pulls from that, like instead of like thinking like, oh, like future is gonna be like the super clean, like Singapore kind of place, just that's the entire future. I feel like it's gonna be a lot more like trashy and kind of
Yeah.
dystopian, I guess. Not every place is gonna be like this. Basically, in the year 2100, this is not. Keep in mind, alternate world. This is not our world. All right, this is not. This is
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
This is not the world we know. This is different dimension,
Different world,
different
different world, different world.
places. In the year 2100, World War IV was halted due to GPS readings showing large-scale movements of tectonic plates. It's estimated that the tectonic plates holding our world together would eventually collide, destroying all the land. And because of this imminent threat, the world, basically everyone in the world would form together, forming the New World Order organization.
So basically, the scientists are building stuff. Every year they get like, there's not all happening. It's not like, oh, one day all the continents are gonna crash. Like the continents are crashing into each other over the next 100 years, 120 years, right? So it makes it harder and harder for the people to build factories and farm materials from the earth in order to build this technology. And so tons of people die. Starvation, natural
Hundreds
disasters.
of billions.
It's not a nice
Billions
place.
of people died.
Yeah,
All right,
it's not a nice place
lot
to
of
live
people.
anymore, right? The Earth, or
Yeah,
whatever we're
it's
calling this
just
place, is not a nice place
natural
to
disasters everywhere.
live.
Yeah,
So
but
in year 2300, the first city is taken into the sky with roughly 15 million people. they're up in the sky, and like 10 years afterwards they're trying to like start bringing the economy, trying to actually bring the world back into, it was this island back into order, because they have to be self-sufficient on their own up there. They're not getting extra resources from anyone else. They needed like things, like you need possessions to start an economy, right? I'm not an economist, but you need entertainment, you need you know, stuff to do. And so they decided to create a game called Tag, right?
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. This is the New World Order secretly creating a game, creating the game Tag, right? And it's by them leaking military grade like exosuits and military grade tech into
the black market or into the
yeah,
public or wherever.
Somehow into the public's hands, right?
Yeah.
One way or another.
You can go from there if you know where I'm at.
The New World Order that started another little thing called the Administration, and the Administration runs Tag. Now, the Administration's goal is to live stream these games of Tag online for a world's new source of entertainment, and it very quickly became a real source of income for those who would risk their lives to play. Because of this new event, many smaller companies made teams of Tag players to win the company money.
Like, for example, Ferrari would sponsor like their own racers to compete using their own gear and everything else.
A few players had been named the best Tag players in the new world, right? And they ended up establishing their own company called the Edge Runners. Now, let me be clear. This has nothing to do with Cyberpunk Edge Runners, okay?
We had this name before. We had
this so long before, and we're keeping it because it's great.
It's good. It's good.
The best equipment, the best stuff, and you want to be an Edge Runner. Like, that's your goal as a Tag player, right? And where our story takes place is going to be 112 years after the successful launch of the New York. So it's going to be taking place in the year 2412. The idea is other continents are creating, you know, their own cities to send up in the sky and unite into one big floating thing.
They're creating their own tagging. They're creating their own technology, their own, I guess you could call them abilities, or exosuits, and just innovation in the space, and then like just adding to competitiveness, right? So that's kind of how we can kind of tie this into developmental updates and whatever else. It's like, oh,
yeah.
For example, France has joined us, and they've brought in their moldy cheese. That's great. You know, we can use that, you know, or something like that. Something like that. Like, you get, you know, a new map, you'd get your new abilities, and you'd get, you know, some new innovation, and it really makes sense with the story. That's the entire setting. That kind of ties. That kind of, I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. I don't know if we're gonna throw this entire thing in the description of the video. It'll be in the Patreon. It'll be in the Patreon if you want. I'll just say that when that comes out, we'll throw it in there.
Once we have that, sure.
So if you really care, you really want to read this long script. Basically, the administration is the people who host the Tag games. They're basically the main sponsor, the TO, the tournament organizer.
They run the streams, right? Yeah.
They run the streams. They run the streams, most of the tournaments.
The other companies and sponsors. It's like how NASCAR is a company, and then they have all the sponsored teams and racers in the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's how that works, basically.
So, so the Edge Runners, they're a group of tech junkies, basically, that are just really, really good at running and whatever else. And they've got, you know, tons of stuff. And basically, if you like, you know, a setting of like an anime protagonist will go with is like, I want to be the best in the world. Then instead of that, they'd be like, I want to be in the Edge Runners. That's kind of the correlation for it.
Basically, you know, our inspiration setting is how we utilize world building to better develop our game, you know. Is how we better develop our game. It's how we, you know, choose what fits into the world thematically and what doesn't. Like, if we're going for abilities, what naming scheme might not be realistic in the world we set out, and what naming schemes would be, right? Like, just making everything feel more grounded and put together in kind of the world, right, that we've created, right? it's a tool that I feel like most companies and game development studios most likely employ, even if the game is not a story game, and even if their game
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have lore or story at all. It's something that makes it feel like it helps you have like a checklist, right? To like keep everything in line. I think the whole purpose of this was to show gives insight as to what like the world of tag looks like and how we at Left Shift use it to better develop our game, make a
Exactly.
more cohesive game for the audience to
Exactly.
experience. Thank you guys for joining us to week 8 of the devlog. It's been sick, been epic. We'll see you guys next week.
See
Later.
ya.